Welcome back to the show. All right, coping with the high cost of living is top of mind for a lot of people right now, but it comes with its own costs. Staggering new figures on retirement show a large number of Canadians approaching their golden years only have enough saved for a few months at best.
Yeah, that's right. A recent BMO survey found Canadians expect to need $1.7 million to retire. So with that in mind, we need all the help we can get. Thankfully, our next guest is here to share her tips on how we can pay for retirement. Everyone, please welcome back money expert Robyn Thompson.
All right, we're going to dive right into this. You know, we were talking battle of generations. So let's talk about the boomers for a second, because a lot of people expected, hey, you know what? You've had so much time to save money. Aren't you the generation that just has a lot of money and is really good at saving? So how is it that so many in this generation that's retiring doesn't have enough money?
It's a great question. And what we're looking at is a lot of boomers coming into retirement, and the numbers tell us that they're just not prepared. If we look at some statistics here, we actually have 1 out of 5 Canadians do not have anything saved for retirement at all.
Wow.
And only half of Canadian boomers aged between 55 and 64 have less than $5,000 in their bank accounts, which is a really small number. There are many that have over 100,000, but we're just not saving enough in order to reach our money across retirement.
Yeah.
A few reasons for that. Our lives have changed. We're now responsible, at least some boomers are responsible for taking care of adult children, taking care of aging parents, and inflation and interest, right? That definitely takes a piece out of the money that we have to save and compound for our future.
Yeah.
So I just said earlier, Canadians are expected to have at least $1.7 million to retire, which apparently is like that in and itself has gone up because it wasn't that high 3 years ago. So it's gone up by 20%.
It has.
Like, why?
I know, it's one of those things that if I wasn't sitting down, I'd probably fall down, right? It's 1.7 million is a huge number. And so what you're seeing is a jump, and the jump really is due to inflation. So if you think about your money, it has to last you over the period of your whole life. And if you retire at 65 and you have 20, 25, 30 years in retirement, and you have a high inflation, it's going to erode the amount of money you have to buy things. You know, do you need 1.7 million? 1.4 is where it was in 2020. My rule of thumb is 70% of your pre-retirement income for retirement lifestyle expenses. 1.7 is a pretty high ticket. And remember, that number is actually for 2 people.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what do we need to do to get to 1.7 million?
Yeah, so 1.7 million, it is possible. It is something that you can do. And in investments and wealth, the amount of time you have in the market to be able to grow your wealth is really what matters. So if you were to start with $17,000 and contribute $17,000 a year, every year for 40 years, compounding at 4% annual rate of return in an RSP, you would come to $1.7 million. If you started earlier, you could save less. If you started later, you'd have to save a lot more. So you need to get in right away and start doing the small things every day that build your wealth.
Okay, so, but, you know, for those who are freaking out right now, let's talk about what things we can do. Let's start with some of the options. What's the old age security pension?
Anybody else freaking out right now? Yeah. Right, a little bit? Yeah. So OAS is a government pension. It's a government subsidized pension that is paid to Canadians. So it's not tied to your work. It starts paying out at 65, and you'll receive about $700 a month.
Anyone gets it?
Everyone gets it. As long as you live in Canada, there are some qualifications, but they're pretty standard. So yeah, everyone gets it. Doesn't matter if you've worked or not, as long as you live in this country and you've lived here for a while,
Okay, so can we get more if we delay retirement?
If you delay taking your OAS, you can get more, up to 36% more if you delay to age 70. So every month that you delay OAS, it'll increase bit by bit over a period of time.
Aha.
So $700, it's not that much, but there is also something called the Guaranteed Income Supplement. How does that work? Yeah,
so the GIS is another government subsidized pension, essentially supplement, and it's for people who are low-income seniors. And the test here really, it has to do with, you know, what your marital status is and your income. So if you've earned less than $20,000 in the previous calendar year and you're single, you're widowed or divorced, you can actually get up to about $1,000 a month from GIS to help sort of stretch your budget. Again, it's something that's government. It's not tied to your work, and it will help.
So let's talk about the Canadian pension plan.
Yes.
How is it different than old age security?
So Canada Pension Plan is a mandatory contributory plan. Say that 3 times fast, right? And everyone contributes to that. So if you're working or your employers or you're self-employed, you're contributing to the CPP. So what will happen is that over time, you're building up money that you will then take out in retirement. It's available to all Canadians, except in Quebec, they have their own plan. And you don't have to qualify for it. It happens at 65 if you want to take it.
Okay, so what factors determine how much we actually get from the CPP?
So there's a few factors that happen. Number 1 is the age that you start taking the Canada Pension Plan. Number 2 is how much you've contributed to the plan over your working years. And the next one is talking about how long you've contributed, and then your average earning over the entire period of your working years. So there's some criteria that has to go into it, but again, we're all contributing. It's mandatory.
Okay.
But what would you say to someone who wasn't in the workforce for a number of years? For example, they were raising kids.
Yes, and a lot of people take a few years out of the workforce for raising kids or helping with parents. There is a child rearing benefit that you can apply for at the CPP. So if you've taken time away, you can write to the CPP and say, what's available to me to bump up my CPP given I was out of the workforce period of time.
So what are the tips for those whose retirement savings are not where they should be right now?
So there's a few things you can do. So the first one is you really want to find all of the money that you can. So in Canada, there are a significant amount of people who are not claiming the pensions that they're entitled to. So there is a place, it's called the Unclaimed Pension Office or Properties Office. It's an agency in the government. And you can actually put in your information to see if there's a pension that's available to you. This can happen from a workplace pension. If you've moved your jobs a lot and you forget maybe you had a job earlier on and you didn't track your pension statements, perhaps you had a spouse that passed away and you're entitled to some survivor benefits. In Ontario alone, there are tens of thousands of people that have pensions accumulating up to $3 billion that they can take. So there's money here. So you're going to want to make sure that you check that out. But again, it is a company pension that you'd have to track forward.
Robyn, thank you so much for all of this crucial information. We really appreciate it. All right. Start thinking about retirement, take care of your money, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Thanks for watching. We've got lots more discussion and debates on everything from food and fashion to pop culture and current events. Don't forget to click like and subscribe.